Hello everyone. We got another system from the early to mid 2000s to check out. Seems like a worthy subject. An AOpen CustomPC. What was all AOpen up to back then? And what's so custom about it? Well, let's AOpen it up and find out. And this is the second such system we've had on this channel. I was really struggling to find background info on these, mostly because the words AOpen and CustomPC sent search engines and generative AI into a marketing buzzword tizzy. So I reached out to my patrons for some info. It seems like these would either come as bare-bones systems that builders would customize, or they'd be built to order using parts sourced from AOpen-centric distributors. And I'm sure there are several more ways that these things came into being, and I'd love to hear about them if you know, but that does at least explain the customness. But this case is so incredibly well built. They definitely didn't cheap out on the sheet metal. It also has quite a bit of weight to it, which makes me very curious as to what's going on in there. We've got a very nice assortment of drives, including a Zip 250 drive. If you're not familiar with zip disks, they were like an ultra high capacity floppy disk. They started life with 100 megabyte capacity, then grew to 250. We've got a very nice Sony CD burner there. That also happens to read DVDs. Regular old 52 speed CD-ROM drive. That looks like it's actually from AOpen. I want to say MTRP is associated with AOpen, or at least those brain cells are firing at the same time for some reason. And here we have a card reader / firewire / USB / audio thing, bringing all your modern conveniences to an old style case. Though that USB port there is broken. And down here we have what is possibly a builder badge. I'm guessing that's either Kinetic or Kenetech. That vowel placement's not quite agreeing with me. Hey, that video card looks interesting. It's got dual head VGA with a TV output. Can't wait to see what that is. And this being the early to mid 2000s, we are loaded down with USB ports. Also have an Ethernet NIC, and everything else is provided by the motherboard, including 2 actual serial ports. Though it's interesting that I/O plate has an icon for either monitor or serial port, so obviously that would be a VGA connector in some other iteration of this motherboard. Alright, let's get this thing open. Just noticed we probably had a COA sticker there, possibly Windows XP. Sometimes you gotta pry these cases open. And they left the hard drive in there. Looks like it's one of those rubber baby buggy bumper Seagates. We usually don't see issues out of those. I've actually had one knocking around since back in the day. Still works fine. And that looks an awful lot like an NVIDIA card. I'm actually going to start with that. It is odd that they went with the PCI version instead of AGP. It's also unfortunate that the NIC is right in that fan's face. There is very little clearance between those two. Let's get this out of there. Man, this thing's probably never been cleaned. Surprised that fan turns. But yeah, this is looking very NVIDIA-ish. Yep, GeForce FX 5500 with 128 megs of RAM. And just filthy. I don't know, there's something about the look of this card and the shape of this heatsink. Just takes me back to browsing Newegg back in the day, wishing I could buy stuff like this. I ended up getting a GeForce FX 5200, and that did the trick. Now I'll see what kind of NIC that is. Looks 3-commy. And indeed it is, with a BGA chipset. That's fancy. Got the Wake on LAN connector there. There's the witness mark from that fan. They had all those PCI slots available, and they decided to choke up that fan. I don't get it. And those extra USB ports are actually part of a card. Got an internal one here for that front panel connector. Designed and manufactured by SIG. This motherboard does have onboard USB, but I think they're only USB 1.1 slots. And one of those things is probably a date code, but I have no clue how to decipher it. And seeing the inside of that heatsink sure makes me thankful for being able to breathe. Yeah, I don't think this system saw very much maintenance. Same situation going on with the power supply. But hey, at least it ate okay. Nutrition is very important for a power supply. It's also high on pot. Probably the reason why it ate okay. And it looks like they weren't even using the audio portion of that front panel connector. Very disconnected. Speaking of disconnection, let's get everything unhooked. And the motherboard is an AOpen original, AX4BS. And I am surprised that all those capacitors look okay, at least from the top-down view. Doesn't guarantee that they're good, but it's a good sign. Now let's get at that CPU. Now let's try not to stir up too much dust. Wouldn't want to asphyxiate. Okay, guess the whole thing's gonna come off all at once. You gotta be careful with these Pentium 4s. Sometimes they stick to the heatsink and pull right out of the socket. But this one doesn't have nearly enough thermal paste for that. Let's clean that up. Let's go ahead and pull it out of there. And there's some somewhat legible text. These are always the hardest CPUs to read. We have a clock speed of 1.6 GHz, 256K of cache, and 400 MHz frontside bus, SL5UJ. I'm very curious how these corners got rounded off. What did this thing go through? At least all the pins are in great shape. Let's get it back in there. Now, how about the RAM? Seems like we're fully loaded. And it's Kingston RAM, with the world's least decipherable labels. Well, at least the RAM managed to stay clean, somehow. And that second one looks identical. And indeed it is. Same gobbledygook model number. Also pretty clean. And the last one looks like an oddball. Yeah, indeed it is. Although this one must have been original to the system because I'm seeing these stickers everywhere. But it appears to be a 256 meg PC133 stick, loaded with NEC SyncMax chips. So this thing had quite a bit of RAM in it. Have we uncovered somebody's quasi-gaming machine? Now, if they weren't cleaning the heatsink, they certainly weren't maintaining the battery. But let's see. Yep, about as dead as can be. Now, at enormous respiratory risk, let's clean this heatsink. Yeah, that is caked. What a mess. It's like a dust bomb exploded. And I'm not even done. Still gotta clean the fan. And there be the final result. And I'm pleased to report I can still absorb oxygen. And the heatsink also has one of those CN stickers. I'm guessing that's an AOpen thing. Let's get that old thermal pad off. Sometimes you can get these to lift. Aha, here we come. Oh, this is gonna be a mess. Yeah, we gotta get to scraping. Now, a wee kiss with the magic eraser usually cleans up the rest of it. Oh yeah, comes right off. That will do. And I never ever seem to have trouble out of these Intel fans, but let's test it anyway. Oh yeah, sounds great. This was back when buying Intel would have made Grandma proud. That might be too niche of a reference. And this thing is so dusty and gross. I'm gonna pull the motherboard out and clean behind it. A concerning number of these screws are not tight. So I guess it's a good thing I decided to do this. Correction, none of these screws are tight. Not a single solitary one. And this time I decided to save a lung and use a shop vac. They never get all of it, though. Meanwhile, on the motherboard, I'm having a look at those caps, and all of them look okay. Doesn't guarantee they are okay, but certainly increases the odds. Let's just knock the dust off. And since we're here, let's refresh the thermal compound on that North Bridge heatsink. That is assuming these clips cooperate. You gotta use even pressure on these. You could crack that chip. And amazingly, this stuff is still really pliant. I guess AOpen was using the good stuff. Yeah, not dried out at all. It probably didn't even need service. But let's get it cleaned up. Its robustness does make it a pain to clean off, though. And another challenge is going to be preserving this foam. Foam and its associated adhesives do not like alcohol. So I'll take as much of this off the hard way as I can. Let's see if that's enough. It looks like I already lost the game. That foam is not being preserved. Oh well. This is why I tend not to touch these. They're usually fine the way they are. At least now I can go ham. But look at this. This stuff is practically impervious to alcohol. It's just getting smudged in whatever direction I put it. Let's try a bit of magic eraser. Yeah, that's doing it. Now there appears to be a plastic film left behind by that foam. This one's fighting me every step of the way. You know, I'm really into clean heat sinks. Oh, that sucked. Thought I was going to get continuity. There is definitely a trick to this. Ah! So close. At least that left a grabby bit. I guess that's the trick. Finally. Now I just have to get rid of that adhesive. Well, that was a project on its own. And tell me how annoying this is. Alcohol also dissolves that AOpen logo. You know what? That settles it. I will not service another Northbridge heatsink without cause. Too risky. Okay, let's get this stupid thing dressed. Man, that gets on my nerves. Okay, now that I'm done doing more harm than good, let's get that CPU dressed. Ah, these things. They always feel like they're gonna break, but they never do. Done. Okay, that's enough harassing the mommy board. Let's get into these drives. And they gave me a removable 3.5-inch drive cage. You know, I love that. Just tray screws. That's one way. Now, do you just... Yes, you do. Comes right out. Okay, the optical drives are de-screwed, so let's just get those out of there. Yoink. And yoink. Now, what's holding in this contrivance? Oh, it's just 2 screws. One on each side. Oh, that's fun. Close enough. Get out of there. Jeez, this thing's a nightmare. Look how friggin' dusty it is. All up in that CF card slot, too. Yeah, they could have put a cover on that or something, but no. Gotta let the dust monsters take over. And what do we have for the hard drive? A rubber baby buggy bumper Seagate. Yeah, this is actually a rubber sleeve that they wrap around these. And to this day, I'm still not sure why. I guess it's sound deadening or something? And you know, I've still yet to encounter a bad one of these. Of course, now I probably just screwed myself by saying that. But every single one I come across has worked fine. I even have one that I personally used back in the day. It survived all these years, but most remarkably survived teenage me. So I'm inclined to believe they're pretty decent. This one's the 40 gig version, and that date code seems to suggest 2002, though don't ask me what the 211 means. 211th day? Oh no, who knows? If you know, let me know. And here's the zip drive. Nothing terribly noteworthy about it, apart from being a zip 250 drive, as opposed to the 100 megabyte version that brought them fame and prominence. And this thing's probably dusty as frig inside, so let's get it apart and clean it up. But not before voiding that warranty. Actually, I don't even think that got it. This is the toughest warranty sticker yet. Gotta get sharp stuff involved. Yeah, there she goes. Now that's good and voided. Come on. There we go. Yeah, that's worse than I thought. Look at this. It's a travesty. Imagine just putting a disk in there willy-nilly. That would not end well. Let's clean this thing up. Well, I noticed one annoying thing while cleaning this. The door doesn't close itself. It just sticks open. That's not gonna do. It does have a spring-a-thing in there, so that's not the problem. I think it's just crudded up from the 5 pounds of dust that's in this thing. Let's see if we can help it out. I don't think I've ever defaced a zip drive. How does this even work? Got that big one released, it's hanging up here. Can we just... Yeah, sure can. And the same thing on the other side. Simple enough. Yoink. You know, it doesn't look that cruddy. Why is this thing so troubled? Now, I'll see if I can get that spring out without flinging it across the world. It's in an awfully tight spot. Yeah, it sure wanted to take flight, didn't it? I don't know how I'm going to get that back in there, but we'll figure that out later. And oddly enough, we're not actually stuck. It was the spring that's binding. What is the deal with this thing? Well, let's at least get that dust out of there. And yeah, that door is just as loose as can be. So it's all the spring's fault. Let me see if I can get that back in better. Okay, I think that spring was in there just upside down or something, because now it's working just perfectly. I'm pretty sure I gave it a 180 when I put it back in there, because it just didn't look right coming out. Which begs the question, did somebody at the iOmega factory screw up? Did this thing have a sticky door the whole time? I guess we'll never know. Much better. And I never try to clean the heads on these. It's a miracle that they work at all. And the last thing I need is me monkeying around in there. They're supposed to be somewhat self-cleaning. See, they rub up on this felt pad here when they park. And that should be all they need. These are basically hard drive heads. And you know how fragile those are. So I just leave them alone. And the floppy drive is made by Alps. Looks like February 2002. Which seems to agree with the hard drive's date stamp. And I'm sure this thing's also a horror show inside, so let's get in there. Oh, did I say horror show? I meant to say remarkably clean. Who in the hell saw that coming? Yeah, nothing but just the lightest smattering of dust here in the front. Barely anything. I guess Alps knows how to keep their drive faces tight. Well, let's give it the little bit of cleanup that it needs. And that, of course, includes cleaning the heads, whether they need it or not. And I'd say they probably didn't need it, but they could use a grease refresh. Let's clean that off. Replace with white lithium grease. A little dab will do ya. Same for the lead screw. That stuff's nasty. And there be our Sony DVD-ROM drive / CD burner, manufactured April 2006. So this is something somebody added. Let's just wipe that off. It's a freaking mess. And there's the plain old CD-ROM drive, made by AOpen themselves. Clearly original to the system with that December 2001 date stamp. This one's an original. And should I bother screwing with this thing? This USB port here is busted. It's missing the plastic tab. Guess I'll give it just a basic wipeout. And by wipeout I mean brush out. Easy for you to say. And that's as deep as I'm going in this thing. And now onto the power supply. It actually seems exceptionally decent. It's branded AOpen, but the model number seems to suggest it was made by FSP Group, and they're pretty well known for making really good power supplies. And it definitely has the weight to back it up, especially compared to its stated output power at 250 watts. This is very likely a very good one. Not be surprised if it blows up. Speaking of which, let's try to blow it up. What'd it do? Let's see. A little delayed start, but that could be forgivable. We are running though. All voltage is nominal. Okay, that's 5 minutes, and things are still clicking along. Yeah, I figured there was nothing wrong with this thing. It is good. Alright, time to find out what this thing does, if anything. Let's send it some power. So far, so good. That's not good. Oh, there it goes. It just took it like 6 or 7 seconds. But it is booting. That was weird. And one of those fans is pissed off. At least I hope that's one of the fans. Huh. I wonder why it's mad about the floppy drive. I heard it seek. Okay, let's see what's making that horrible sound. I'm gonna guess it's the GPU fan, because it's the only fan I didn't mess with. Yep, sure is. Those things seem insanely unreliable. Alright, I'm just gonna have to deal with that for now, until I get extra irritated and finally decide to oil it. Let's see how long that lasts. Sounds like an angry, pissed off murder hornet. Let's just ignore that floppy drive error for right now. We'll see what that thing's deal is later. It sounds like there's a CD in there. And we are booting Windows XP. So the hard drive seems at least healthy. Or maybe I spoke too soon, because this thing's taking ridiculously long to boot. But on the plus side, that fan shut up. Okay, well, while that's taken 6 years to boot, let's see what's inside that CD drive. Let's try that again. Okay, well, I asked politely, so now I'm going to ask not so politely. And there goes that fan again. How annoying is that? What is the deal with this thing? Surely that's the release gear. Is this thing that stuck? Okay, well that's just not happening. Never seen one that stubborn. Yeah, sometimes you gotta cock them over in order to catch the gear, but I couldn't find it in any which way. Oh well. Well, we might be taking this drive apart then. Let's ask politely one more time. See, it doesn't even try to open. Well, we finally made it to the login screen. Well, those are some interesting names. Eddie and Razzle. Let's go with old Eddie's account first. He seems kind of important. Ah, he's got a password. How about Razzle? That's the last time I'm going to say that. Hey, no password. Okay, it's killing me not knowing. What is in that CD drive? Boy, this thing is slow chugging. Okay, I'm just going to ignore that. So it's a Logitech mouse driver disk. Assuming that's the CD, yeah, CDFS. Oh, they got a lot of crap popping up. An update to Adobe Flash Player is available. That's no longer a thing. Remind me later. And all these extra removable discs are that card reader. Though, interestingly, we're not seeing the Sony DVD drive. I wonder what's up with that. Anyways, let's see what else is on this thing. New. Palm desktop, so they must have been a user of a Palm Pilot. And also clearly a user of alcohol. Or maybe that's their job, I don't know. I don't know their life, at least not yet. But we don't have a whole lot on here. Looks like it's just a office/light media PC. Olympus Digital Wave Player. Sounds like one of those digital dictation machines or something. I remember those things. Let's open that up. Yeah, it looks like it. Got the recorder folder here. If I can click it. Nothing in there. This might have been some kind of caseworker or something. Some kind of social work. Let's see what date range this program's from. 2006. I thought some of these UI elements looked a little older, but I guess that's just how it was. Right, let's get out of there. And what else? They got an old version of Photoshop on here. Let's see if it's licensed. Yeah, it sure is. They were using it, presumably. Okay, I don't have the first clue how to use Photoshop, including the modern version of Photoshop, so let's get out of here. Mike is not graphical. Let's just have a quick peek at those documents. MySpace IM pics. I didn't even realize MySpace had an IM program. Then again, I never got into MySpace either, despite the extreme peer pressure. Well, let's see what's in there. Okay, just some people. They seem like legit people. And these document titles kind of tell a tale of woe. I'm not quite sure what to make of that. But she was so furious she couldn't even spell correctly. She was for iOS. Alright, let's get out of here. Who could be furious with that adorable puppy in their life? Let's see. Palm, July 14th. When was that created? Oh, what is going on? What did I just do? The mouse is locked there. Must have hit the middle mouse button. Oh yeah. Huh. That's super annoying. I guess that's what that weird Logitech program is all about. Or one of the things it's doing, I guess. Anyway, original mission. Date stamp on that Palm folder. 2009. Guess that's not too unreasonable. Let's see what service pack this is. Service pack 1? Yeah, I'd be furious too. Old Eddie wasn't keeping up with his updates. Let's get some date stamps from the event log. That's usually in system. Okay, we're supposedly up to 2010, but I don't think I set the date on this. Come on, give me a date. I'm hovering over. Hello? What is this thing's problem? Okay, I didn't set the date, but it's so early it shouldn't interfere with these timestamps. So, 2010 it is. That's the last time this thing was used. Looks like fairly regular usage. well, got a little spotty towards the end there. But consistently used up to March 2010. They got their use out of it. But yeah, for having that graphics card, I expected to find some games. It seems more like a mom PC. I'm pretty sure that's just the default Windows games. Yep, with some Yahoo bloatware peppered in. I wonder if old Eddie has anything else on his account. Let's crack that password. Assuming Razzle has admin. And she does. Alright. Let's go poke around in his account. Yeah, it seems slightly more heavily used. Sure seems convinced I have a TrackMan connected. Wow, G-Talk. Can't tell you last time I heard of that. And man, that's some ridiculous mouse sensitivity. I am spinning this trackball. What on earth? That is just not usable. Let's see, where's that Logitech program? It's not on here. What's up with that? And what is this face thing? Oh, it's Yahoo Messenger. Oh, that's right. I forgot it did that. Let's see if he was using that. Oh yeah, this is a later version of that I was used to. What is this from? 2006. Yeah, I was well out of my Yahoo Messenger hooligan phase by then. Okay, let's do something about this mouse. Ew, not category view. God, it's like taking me 10 minutes to do anything. Motion. But sensitivity's not that, I mean, it's in the middle. What's going on here? I think we got bugs. Let's see if we can press the issue. Okay, well that's slightly better. Still pretty awful. Let's go manual. Fast as we can. Okay, that's close to normal. Still a little weird. And even slightly delayed. Huh, strange. Alright, well, let's continue our sleuthing. Well, I still got the password saved in. I wonder if it would connect. I highly doubt those servers are still around. Let's close this. Oh, as closed as Yahoo Messenger can get. Everything just wants to hide in the system tray. Alright, what else we got in here? Everything's new to Eddie. It's like he never opened the start menu. But nothing much different in there. What about documents? No, not much in there either. Well, nothing terribly exciting on this account. Let's see, how about browsing history? At least they were using Firefox. But boy, does that take forever to load. If you're feeling we're bogged down with malware. Firefox 3.6.3. Let's see, what's in history? We have no history. Or maybe it predates history. How about bookmarks? Yeah, lots of bookmarks. This was definitely Eddie's preferred browser. And some of these bookmarks I can't even show. And I'll just leave that up to your imagination. But I think we know where the malware came from. Okay, I know I saw that floppy drive doing stuff, and it shows up in the OS, so let's see if it works. And yeah, it sure does. So I wonder why the BIOS was complaining. Unless there's multiple floppy drives configured. Guess I'll take a look at that later. But a bigger mystery is, what's up with that DVD drive? Oh, that's the one with the disk in it. So it's the CD drive that's not showing in the OS. And also clearly doesn't work correctly. And it seems a little cattywampus because the light's staying on for no reason. Maybe that thing's just hooped. Okay, so we already know the DVD drive works because we saw that disk in there. But one thing I didn't see is the zip drive. Let's give that a whirl. Okay, that's a normal sounding spin up. And we're doing, okay, oh, it is in there. Well, I got a little tongue tangulated, didn't I? So it's showing as one of those removable devices. I thought that was all belonged to that card reader. That's weird. Usually the zip drive shows up as a zip drive. But they probably don't have the iOmega tools installed. That explains that. Let's see if it works. Let's try copying this stuff over. I'll just pollute Eddie's desktop some more. And it appears to be copying. Though very slowly, but that's just how these things were. Sounds like it's doing great. And that is some successful copying. You know, to this day, I still have not found a zip drive that doesn't work. Maybe that's just survivorship bias, or I just haven't encountered enough of them. We've had quite a few on this channel so far. Huh, now that's interesting. Delayed write failed. But I wasn't writing to the zip disk, or only reading from it. That's weird. I guess we should run error check on that hard drive. It's going to be the boring NTFS version of ScanDisk. Man, we're pretty low on space. I've used that thing pretty well. Check for errors. Do it all. And of course I got to reboot for that. Let's do it. I hate when that mouse cursor jumps to, I forget what they call that. Jumps to the thing it thinks you're going to click. Very annoying. No floppy drive complaints that time. It might have just needed to distribute its grease. Sometimes if the head doesn't move correctly, the BIOS will complain. And it's taken 10 forevers to boot again. What has this thing been through? And now we wait. Well, would you look at that? Those rubbery Seagates continue to impress. Which means we only have one problematic drive. You! Let's pull that thing out and see what's up with it. Okay, let's get this thing open. Kill your warranty. Looking pretty clean so far. Now, see, how do we get into the rest of this thing? You know, this usually involves getting the drive tray open, which, as I recall, proved exceedingly difficult. So maybe looking on the inside can provide some clues as to what's going on. Or maybe I can help it, give it a little boost. It's just whatever you're supposed to hit when you insert these just has no give whatsoever. I don't get it. Never seen that before. This doesn't seem like it's really stuck. Aha. Maybe something's happening. Aha, yeah. There we go. Now I should be able to get this cover plate off. And perhaps the faceplate. So we got some clips here. Just like that. This thing is just holding on. There we go. Oh, there's a disc in there that apparently I hoopa-jooped. Alpha Network. Obviously a driver disk. Let's just get rid of that. And see how the belt is doing that wiggle worm thing. Sometimes means it's probably no good. Those little humps in that belt require too much torque for that itty bitty motor to put out. But let's get power to this thing and see what it does now. Let's see if all that harassment did any good at all. Sending power. Okay, that's better. But do you open? Yes, happily. I wonder what the whole deal was before. Let's see if it reads that disk. It seems happy about it. Did we really fix it just by taking it apart? Stranger things have happened. Let's get it back together, back in there, and see what it does. Okay, that drives back in, and it seems much happier now. And I didn't notice before, but the first time we fired this thing up, it wasn't detected at post. And this time it was. And I made no changes to the cabling or jumper settings or anything. Guess this thing was just having some internal conniption. Well, let's see if it opens. Yes, it does, happily. Quite enthusiastically. But do you read? Do you read me? Yep, sounds like it. And yep, got the icon change. And looks like it's auto running, yep. And yeah, that's a little wireless network adapter driver thing. But I've never heard of Alpha Network. And this sounds like one of those psychotically fast CD-ROM drives that spins the disks so fast that it sounds like they're going to explode. And I have credible reports that sometimes they did. Let's see if we can get it to rev up all the way. Oh, this thing makes sound? Come on. Let's exit. That might be as fast as she goes. 52 speeds. Let's copy some stuff off that disk. Let's just copy all of this and paste it haphazardly on C drive. Yeah, that thing's spinning. But we're not getting any disk explosions, so let's go ahead and cancel this. It is obviously working. Alright, let's shut this thing down. I guess AOpen was no joke. This is quite a robust little system. It's built like a tank and everything works? Well, minus the GPU fan, but that's totally forgivable. Yeah, people did love these systems. I guess it's easy to see why. Good components makes good systems. Who would have ever guessed? And of course, my sincerest thanks to all the patrons and channel supporters, keeping this show going throughout my tumultuous upload schedule. Hooray, life changes! I've been attending to a lot of them recently, but don't worry, they're all very good and very welcome life changes. But still time consuming nonetheless. I appreciate you all. Thanks for watching.